Okay, I emptied the kiln yesterday, but when I looked at the video I thought you can't really see the colours in all the pots. So we'll just come back and have another wee look. Don't want to get too close, otherwise it goes fuzzy. These are the two large, well, one's the large oval that came out yesterday, and it's got a beautiful colour on it. Really old and rustic looking. And there's a few other wee bits and bobs. This is one I keep going back to. It's got beautiful texture on it. Really nice. Okay. There's a couple of textured pots there, just round ones. Keep those for myself. Quite nice. And some cascades. It has a really rough, hard texture. I think I blunted half my tools trimming these up. It'll be nice with a little cascade in them. I've got some manukas that would look nice in those. Okay, what else came out yesterday? Right, we've got a few little drum pots, some quite tiny, and some bigger ones. Would be nice with little literati pines in them. And also yesterday this was an experiment using a mixture of clays. It's got a nice wee drum pot. And the other two have got nice wee textures on them as well. The two top brown ones came out yesterday. I put a shiny clear glaze on, but I'll see if I can get a matte one. I'll make one up somehow. There's a few larger round ones. I put the glaze on a little bit thick. Well, the glaze was a bit too thick when I put it on, and you can see the runs there, which I'm not particularly keen on, but my husband ground some off on this one. That ran really quite badly onto the kiln shelf. This was another one that came out yesterday. A really nice colour to it. It's more of a greeny colour. I know it'll show up here as quite blue, but it is very greeny grey. Very nice one. That's another keeper. Just sitting here drying, waiting for the next lot to go in. There's a shallow oval that would be about 40 long. It's got a bit of a Kiwi style pattern on it. And the other one, it's got a texture on it. I tried chattering. I looked up YouTube and saw how they did it, so I thought, right, I can do that. But when I did it, it was just a bit too damp, and it's kind of smudged a bit, but it's still very nice. Same with that one down there. And over to the other bit of the garage that I've managed to pinch off my husband. This is one of my brand new kiln shelves. I've just put kiln wash on it. Yes, I've just got to make sure it's looked after. Not too expensive. And beside it is another deep, large oval. This one's been bisqued. I'll have to glaze it. I noticed I didn't put a hole in the middle. It helps when you're glazing if you've got something to hold on to, especially with a large pot. A few test pieces. I'll chuck one or two of those in when I do a firing. There's some that came out of the last load. It was using a different mixture of clays. I want to get a nice dark brown fired clay, and I want to do it without having to add iron oxide to the clay or muck around too much with it. So I'm making mixtures up left, right and centre. Okay. Oh, some of them white. I've taken all the silica off the shelves. Oh, still more some. It's just quite a fine powder. So when I load the kiln up, I put the pot in, use my pencil, and trace around the outside where the foot sits, pop my pot out, and then I put the silica sand around the outline of the pencil so that when the foot shrinks, or the pot shrinks in the firing, that there's silica sand underneath just for it to help it shrink back in without getting stuck on any of the shelves. One thing I didn't show you before was some wee slabs that I made. It's got a beautiful barky texture on the back. Just by accident, we found a piece of bark. Whoop. And I thought it'd be wonderful if we could replicate that somehow. So I just laid clay over top and pressed it, and get my fingers crossed that it will come off without getting snagged. And yes, it worked. So we've got this beautiful texture on the back of the wee slab. Would have been nice to be a little bit darker, but that's okay. Now I saw the trick. Fruit planting. Okay, and we've got this one I made from it as well. Oop. There. Shouldn't really put on another one. That's a beautiful one. It's quite deep, quite jaggedy and rustic, but I mean, our trees are quite jaggedy and rustic at the moment too. A few feet in there to put on the bottom. It's just easier to put them on afterwards. I use a hot glue gun and just put them on there underneath. There's a couple of other wee slabs. They were experiments. Bit of an unusual colour. It's quite rusty. It'd be nice if a golden totara or something like that in it. That's another one. She's quite nice, I like her. I don't normally call them he's and she's, but sometimes they just look like he's and she pots. Quite nice. Okay. Now, back to this lovely one that I made yesterday. Brought out yesterday. It's got a really crackly texture in it, but I'm not sure if it'll show up here. Oh, here's a little bit. It's quite nice. That's a keeper. I'm keeping that one. And down below it, another really large oval. It's made from a sculpture clay. It's high-fired. Really nice and solid. And it's got, even though it's got a plain colour on it, it's quite rough. Really nice. So these two so far are my favourites from the last couple of loads. So I hope you enjoyed this wee video. Yeah, this is where I spend quite a bit more of my time, working away making pots. Slowly I'm sneaking my husband's garage off him. I've taken over probably half of it so far. I better not push my luck. So, see you next time.